What's going on, guys? My name's Sam, I'm from Pioneer DJ, and we're down here at Gear4music, and I'm going to be showing you the Toraiz Squid in a 3-part video. So guys, within this next video, I'm just going to show you some other features that the Squid has to offer. So far we've covered making a track, and we've covered this section here. We've covered this section here with the running direction, groove control, speed control, etc. Now I'm going to show you some work that I can do within the bass line. So I'm going to bring back a bass line from a previous video that I've done. Press play, and all I've done is soloed this out. So I like the sound of this bass line. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a really cool feature within the Toraiz Squid, and that is the fixed length feature. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to activate the fixed length. And what this will do, if I go to trigger mode, it's now currently changed. If I take the fixed length off, it's going to run the full 16 steps. If I turn the fixed length on, it won't run the full 16 steps, it'll half itself, or it'll go as far as I've told it to go. If I hold shift and click fixed length settings, I can now select how many steps this takes. So I like that. So all it's doing now is running from step 1 to 9. Now this works really great within a track. So if I was to unmute my kick, and again, you can see where it's being triggered here within fixed length. So let's take this even further within the track. Let's unmute them. So we've just got the bass running now, and we've selected the fixed length feature. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at the speed modulation. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to take a shape. Sawtooth tends to work really well with this. And then I'm going to select my modulation length, which is around 18 steps. And then using my dry and wet feature here, which is the depth encoder, I'm just going to see which works well with the bass line. So again, we've completely changed the sound once again. Let's take a look at the running direction and see if there's a different running direction that works well with it. So again, I've just gone for the running direction of moving down, and it's now changed the sound completely. Let's bring some of our elements back in. Cool, really like the sound of that. Go back to our bass line. So we've gone from, let's turn the fixed length off and turn the speed modulation off. So this was the original with fixed length on. And the downwards direction, bit of speed modulation. You can really get to grips with completely changing this sound. So there's the fixed length setting, guys, along with the speed modulation. Really cool sound, and we've completely changed. We've really completely changed the sound of the bass line there. You can find obviously what works for you within your production. So I'm going to turn fixed length off, and I'm just going to go back to the original running direction and bring this bass line back to its original sound. I'm going to unmute my kick. So, taking our bass line, I'm going to now show you pattern mode. So pattern mode is another really cool feature that the Squid has to offer. If I select my bass line from the AS1, or I could use my MIDI log, or I could use my vocal keys, I'm going to take a look at this button here. This is pattern mode. So currently we've been running one pattern, one direction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mute, solo should I say, my bass. Now what I could do is I completely change the running direction. I could add speed modulation, I could add swing to it, etc. That's only going to be running for the one sound. If I copy this and paste this over, I'm now going to run pattern 2, which obviously will be the exact same. But within pattern 2, I can say, for example, change my running direction. which means pattern 1 will have a completely different running direction to pattern 2. I'm also going to add some swing to the whole thing. So if we go to, we're now running pattern 1, I can change the pattern, sorry, we were running pattern 2, I can change to pattern 1. And then if we open up pattern 2, it's completely changed the running direction. Let's take this further. Hold copy, paste that over to pattern 3. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go a completely different running direction, and I'm also gonna hold a rhythmic control down. So that's now recorded into the automation for the rhythmic control. And I'm gonna record that hold there. So again, once again, we're completely changing the sound of this bass line. Let's go back to the original one. And then pattern 2, we've gone a different running direction. And then pattern 3, we've completely changed it. And the beauty of this, guys, is you can have up to 64 patterns. So we're running currently 16 patterns here. We're only on page 1 to 4. So if I select sort of different pages, we've got 16 there, 16, 16, all the way up to 64 different patterns and different variations of the patterns that you can choose from. So what I'm going to do, the next feature I'm going to show you is the interpolation mode. So when I select pitch, gate or velocity, it's going to show up the interpolation mode. It's going to flash a nice blue. So what I've done is I've selected my first note to be a certain pitch and my last note to go up a complete octave. So when I select my first and last note, it's going to interpolate all the way through that octave but glide through the steps. And again, this can happen through the gate and the velocity, if you will. Again, another complete change within the bass line. So let's turn interpolation mode off. Let's bring all our elements back in. Good, quite a cool track. The last feature I'm going to show you is time warp. So whilst I've been playing along with the Toraiz Squid, it's forever listening to what you're doing. Now, I'm not saying we've invented a time machine here, but you can technically go back in time and recover some of the patches that you've made or some of the chords you've pressed or some of the work that you've done without having record turned on. So here's my track. I'm just going to mute out the mini log and I'm going to select time warp, make it basic, select time warp. So when you do time warp, when I select a certain pad, it's going to take me back a certain bar. So bar 1, that's what I've previously done. Now let's go back right to the beginning. Let's see what it sounds like. So on bar 16, that's what I was doing. Bar 2, bar 15, back in time, this is exactly what I've been doing. So it allows you to recover some of the features that you've been previously playing around with, which again, it's an industry first, this, guys. It's unbelievable. I couldn't believe that we'd done this. I can then copy that and I can put it into one of my patterns and bring back work that I've previously done without record turning, without the record feature being on. So there you have it, guys. There's a Toraiz Squid multi-track sequencer. We've only covered a few of the features on here, but there's plenty more to learn. For any more information, check out the Gear4music website.